Dr. Amandeep Kaur, thank you so much for joining us for this
Thank you,
conversation. Uh, you've been a doctor yourself,
Yeah.
and then now you're administratively running hospitals,
Yeah.
right? And unfortunately, in a country where we have always seen doctors as gods,
Yeah.
we are living in an era where we see a doctor and their institution with suspicion.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, we have lost the faith of the people, right? Where did we go wrong?
Ah, you see, we as doctors, we are professionals. We take that Hippocratic oath also. But looking into the past 30 years since I have been in this profession as a doctor, the situation has changed tremendously. The private healthcare caters to almost 60% of the care in our country. And as far as critical beds are concerned, I think we are of the tune of more than 85% private healthcare. In order to run a private system, you need certain infrastructure, certain human resources, and that too at the highest stature with the clinical skills. That all comes at a cost.
Yes.
And this cost, if the hospitals do not reimburse, maybe from the patient's pocket or from these insurance companies, will not be sustainable.
Correct.
So that is when we ask for money as healthcare organizations, we are looked into a negative way because doctਰੀ ਤੇ ਜੀ ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਪੈਸਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਗ ਸਕਦੇ ਬਟ ਟੂ ਸਸਟੇਨ ਆਰ ਸੇਲਸ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਢਿੱਡ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਸਟਾਫ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਵਾਉਣਾ ਵੀ ਪੈਂਦਾ
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ
so that is where the things have gone wrong and the healthcare organizations which includes doctors and the other paramedics, they are not looked upon in the right way by the society for the past 15, 20 or 30 years.
You know, when I speak to doctors and when I speak to hospital administrators, one thing very strongly emerges that the doctors need to improve their communication skills. But that is from the perspective of a doctor having a conversation with the patient and their families and even the nurses, because misinterpretation of what they are saying is something which is a big challenge. But there's also another aspect of communication which is to the general public outside, explaining what you just said, that at the end of the day, we must acknowledge that we are running an institution which has costs. It has a land cost, whether if you bought it, there's a capital invested in it, or there's a rental, there's electricity, there's water. And traditionally, healthcare was paid by the state, or then the philanthropist organizations came in, there were trusts being formed, and then eventually insurance sector picked up in India. And in absence of all these three, then the patient has to pay from his pocket, right? Why are we so scared to speak of healthcare being run like a business, but for the right reasons? Why are we not talking about it?
I think we are talking, I disagree. Today, healthcare is a business, but as a professional, if you ask me, I'll call it, it's a business with a heart. I think I've summed it.
Fantastic. Do you think our PPP models have failed? Is that healthcare is a responsibility of a country, of the government, of the state? In absence of government being able to provide healthcare, they take the support of the private sector. But then, like AIMS and many other institutes like AIMS, why isn't government proactively ensuring that the cost of healthcare is affordable in our country?
If healthcare comes at a cost, this all of us know.
Absolutely.
Whether it's either of the stakeholder,
Somebody has to
private
pay.
stakeholder, or and health and education. These are two things which ought to be a state or the country
Correct.
responsibility, which, if you ask me, I believe that we've not been able to provide to our public. So PPP models, if worked in the proper way, can be a great success. I do not know why they are not being brought up or not run professionally.
Got it. Now, Dr. Amandeep, you know, for several years, one conversation that is happening, whether it is in the media or in general, when it is related to healthcare, is that हमारे यहाँ पे access की problem है. You know, healthcare is not accessible to people. We still have people setting up hospitals in places like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, and we are not proactively moving to tier 2, tier 3, where the large part of population of Bharat is living. This seems to be changing, but it is not. I mean, it doesn't seem like a priority. What do you have to say about this?
Tier 2, Tier 3 cities are the main part of our population stays, and that really needs a good healthcare, especially the tertiary and the quaternary care. The primary and the secondary level care is already there.
Correct.
So that's the reason I think, if you ask me, we in partnership with Ujala Cygnus, we have built all our hospitals in Tier 2 and Tier 3. But then there's a great challenge in running hospitals in these cities.
Like what?
Infra, it's okay. Equipment, it's okay. The basic need is the best human resource. It's very difficult to get a good doctor, a highly qualified doctor, highly trained doctor, and make those people settle in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Everybody wants to be in a metro or in the top level city. The other is not only the doctors, we need lots and lots of human resource, qualified CEOs, CXOs, supply chain management guy, a good pharmacy guy. Everybody who really is well educated and good in skills wants to settle in Tier 1 cities. So Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities need some government promotions also, some schemes also, so that we are able to run a tertiary care or a quaternary care hospitals over there, and the public has easy access. And Tier 3 cities, Tier 2 cities, they have real good access to all our real rural population who really need the best of services.
What do you think needs to happen to make that shift? That the senior doctors, not just by qualification and time, but people who have experienced very different cases, something that we term as rare cases, they come into these Tier 2, Tier 3 to serve the population there. What would make that shift happen?
Then even I'm not clear how this shift will happen, but it's definitely happening at present, but not with the pace it should have. So we can only motivate our people, certain people who really want to settle in their ancestral cities and all that. Like, we've recently opened a hospital in Srinagar. So many of our Kashmiri doctors who are settled in the metros, they've approached us to be back into their cities. That is how we motivate them. Our HR departments work on it. That's one way. And the other is, we need some incentives in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to run good healthcare organizations.
And Dr. Amandeep, the cost of treatment, I'm assuming, I could be wrong, is expected to be lesser or less expensive in Tier 2, Tier 3 compared to what you would pay in a Delhi, Bombay, large metropolitan cities, right? By the same time, is there enough flow of patients there? Because today we have the technology available, but technology comes at a cost. The bigger challenge is that even if you invest in technology, it becomes obsolete in front of a newer technology much faster than what we have seen in the past. So there's a huge cost burden on the hospital, and there's a responsibility to recover the cost before you can upgrade yourself even more. And people are hoping that you will charge lesser than what you would charge in a Delhi or a Bombay hospital. As a hospital administrator, how do you balance ensuring that you have enough patients, ensuring that it is affordable for them, ensuring that they get the same quality of treatment that they would get in a large hospital in Delhi, and also ensuring that you're giving them the same experience that they would expect in a large hospital in a city. How do you balance all this?
You know, this balance has to be there because if you really work good, give good services, there's no dearth of patient in tier 2 and tier 3 cities because it's only these patients which are drained into the metros. And if we are able to contain, the numbers will not be problem.
Okay.
So if we have good numbers, we can afford lesser rates, and we need to understand that the cost of life, cost of running a life, is less in tier 2 and tier 3 cities as compared
So
to
it's
the metros.
justified to expect less.
Yeah, living. So all these balanced the more numbers we get, the more turnover you can call it of the patients. So lesser rates we do sustain ourselves.
So is it a challenge of building confidence among patients that why do I need to go to Delhi when I can get the same quality of care here?
Because most of the patients they do rely on the good organizations in their own cities and towns. But definitely those who can afford, they'll move to a higher place. A person staying in Punjab who can afford will go to Delhi. Those who cannot afford, they stay there.
But Dr. Amandeep, there was a case, there was a time when a patient dealing with cancer or somebody who needed a bypass surgery was advised, please go to US because you get a better outcome there. And now we have reached a point where we don't travel to the West. In fact, people from the West are coming to India for the better quality, same quality at a lower cost. What would we need to be done by the hospitals in tier 2, tier 3 to build that same confidence that, listen, even if I have the money, why would I go to a Delhi hospital?
See, this is happening. The change is there. We are able to retain the patients and we are giving the best of services with best of resources and best of technology. The cutting edge technology is already there in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. If you ask me, we look at in the north, I'm based in north. If we look at around the hospitals, we are doing everything, the CABG, all kinds of cardiac problems, all kind of orthopedics, high-end treatments, we are all doing it. And the people are trusting it and looking into the onco part. Everything, there are huge onco facilities all around and people are trusting it and a lot of work is being done. The only thing is that we need to balance the things. Trust is there. And people in smaller cities are simpler. Trust me.
Absolutely.
trust their
I completely agree with you on that. But when people are simpler, it becomes even more responsibility of an institution to live up to their trust.
That has
They're also very unforgiving. People in smaller cities are also very unforgiving because they went on your face value, they came with that trust. So if you break their trust, they get really you know so again, I'm coming back to where we started the conversation. You're a doctor yourself. You have that sense of responsibility. You've been trained to have empathy as an underlying emotion. Uh, we have also been taught that you need to have that seva bhav, you know. But then you have an institution to run. Then you have the cost, the technology adoption. Today we need to market ourselves as well. Uh, Ethics is a very thin line and everybody is on the edge.
Yeah.
अगर आप कुछ अच्छे भाव से भी करोगे तो it can be perceived differently by the patient and their families. And we are living in a country where we are a bunch of emotional people. I remember in 2008, I saw a business model in the US talking about rating your doctor. And we thought we should bring it here. Until I realized that हम इतने इमोशनल हैं कि हमारा पेशेंट ठीक हो गया तो हमारे लिए डॉक्टर भगवान है, लेकिन अगर मेरा पेशेंट unfortunately passes away in the hospital despite the fact that the patient was in terminal stage and डॉक्टर कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं कर सकता, तो ये एलिगेशन होती है कि डॉक्टर ने टाइम नहीं लगाया, वो तो देखता ही नहीं था. How do you manage
Okay.
this balance especially in a tier 2, tier 3?
To arrest all this and finish all this, the key is transparency. Be very transparent with your patients. Tell them the facts, what you are doing. Definitely, if complications are written in the books, they ought to happen. You cannot escape the stats. So, if there is a complication, we need to live with our complication and try to solve it along with the patient by being transparent. Empathy is an integral part of a profession. These two things, along with the right kind of communication to the right person at the right time, is what we can do.
But Dr. Amandeep, हम बात करते हैं, one of the big areas when you're talking about
Yeah.
quality and patient safety
Yeah.
is error reporting.
Yeah.
है? कोई भी डॉक्टर जानबूझ के गलती नहीं करता है, गलती गलती ही होती है और गलती हो जाती है, और कई बार ये आपके हाथ में नहीं होता, सिचुएशन ऐसी होती है सर्जरी करते हुए कि थिंग्स गो आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल. Now for a doctor who is an employee doctor or a consultant in an institution, उसका करियर का सवाल है. And sometimes, I'm assuming many times, the error does not get reported because it may not be taken too kindly. And we have been trying to solve this issue by saying that transparency, respecting the doctor, and ensuring it is a safe place, right? And to the extent that many people have said that it is our responsibility to even let the patient's family know that the error happened, right? Now, fast forward to where we are today, we are seeing violence against doctors as well. What is the situation in tier 2, tier 3? You said people in tier 2, tier 3 are very, very simple, they're trusting, they have faith. How do you handle such situations?
These situations do happen. I don't say they don't happen. But you explain it to the patients, you can give the references also. 90% of the times we are able to convince them, yes. 1 out of 10.
Not even convince, but make them understand.
Make them understand, look, this has happened, we are there for you, we will sort it out. It's not just like a simple example. Sometimes a sponge is found inside or something. As a medical doctor, it's not a big thing if you've detected it. In initial 2, 3, 4 days of the surgery, you can remove it, and it's a very simple thing. No increase even in morbidity of the patient.
Correct.
So you need to be transparent, and we do solve it. Wherever you are unable to solve it, we be very careful with the documentation. Everything documented, proper counselings of the patients, and still if they don't agree, then the court of law is there. And we are ready to face it because we have done right, and whatever is written in the books, we have done it. And if that complication is to happen in 1 in 1,000 patients, maybe that person is 1 out of those 1,000.
And how do you build or cultivate a culture where error reporting is no big deal? It should be done, it should be done. I feel safe to report that this is happening. अपने hospitals में
ये तो बहुत ज़रूरी है.
कैसे किया आपने?
We, at times, there are 2 ways of doing it. It's a carrot and stick policy. Where you think errors happen, encourage करने के लिए we always provide carrots. कि whatever happens needs to be reported, and the best helper for that is our CCTV cameras for that.
Okay.
So this is one way of capturing. The other is we encourage our staff to report the incidences, because every mistake it's a lesson learned in the future. And the third is, yes, we do have our own hidden sources of giving us the information that this incident has not been reported, but yes, it did happen. Kindly किसी तरीके से भी निकाल लो.
ठीक है. आपने अभी बात करी CCTV कैमरा, so मुझे तो एक चीज़, I was recently doing a conversation with a very respected cyber law expert in India, and we were talking about this DPTP Act that has come out, and now the DPTP rules that have come out, and I was talking about that nobody's talking about it, because उन्होंने तो एक generic निकाल दिया कि privacy of personal information is there, and it is also कि consent लेना ज़रूरी है. Consent तो पहले भी था, बट कंसेंट कि आप ये डेटा जोन सा है ये आप लैब को भी भेजोगे तो पहले आपको कंसेंट लेना कि मैं इस लैब को भेज रहा हूँ, दूसरी लैब को नहीं भेज सकते. ये डेटा अब कंसल्टेशंस जब आई हैव सीन दैट डॉक्टर्स कंसल्ट अदर डॉक्टर्स एज वेल
cross.
फॉर रेयर केसेस एटसेट्रा. As a hospital owner, to ensure that you keep your people, your institution safe, what is it that you're intending to do? Because I'm sure this is a work in progress to ensure that you keep yourself, your doctors, your institution protected when it comes to DPTP. Because अगर आप if you go through the rules
For
and this
those
thing,
are done.
फिर तो आप
काम नहीं कर
हॉस्पिटल
सकते,
बंद
काम
करके
नहीं
बंद
कर
कर दो,
सकते,
ठीक है ना.
नहीं कर
सो
सकते.
फिर तो आपको बंद करना पड़ेगा.
We can only revise our consents. We were revising our consents, that what are the general consents we should have. There are certain specific type of consents. And where there is a different scene, we tell them to get the consent written in the hand of the patient or the attendant. These are the three, we cannot be 100% if you ask me, looking at that law.
Correct. So, what is your ask from the government which will help you ensure patients' privacy, but yet your arms are not tied?
It's a very, very complex situation if you ask me. हर चीज़ का जवाब डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में नहीं होता. There are certain things which we need to explain. We have gone in for, audio video conferencing of the patients, sitting in the same room, recording those. But the government can only help us in that they should know that the intent was not wrong. This, how to do this, I think the experts can do it. They just have to see that the intent of the organization and the doctor treating the patient or any nurse or paramedic treating was not wrong.
Got it.
We are all human beings.
And Dr. Amandeep, based on your experience as a practicing doctor and then running a hospital, then forging very, very key instrumental partnerships to create access of healthcare, quality healthcare, and affordable healthcare in tier 2, tier 3. What are your 2 or 3 learnings from your journey that you'd want to share? Something that you did not know when you began this career to today, and which other people can learn from. That was ये सब किताबी चीज़ें हैं, असली में ये मेरी learnings हैं जो आज मैं when I look back I can talk about.
सबसे पहली तो आई थिंक इट इज़ कि दिमाग जो कहता है वो तो ठीक है, पर करो वो जो दिल और दिमाग दोनों इकट्ठे कहते हैं. Don't go by what you think is too calculative or something like that. You have to listen to your heart also, which makes you happy, which makes you feel good. And while working, keep on working. Name, fame, money, everything follows. These are my 2 fundas of life.
Fantastic. I'll ask you a last question based on what you just told me. I'm sorry, I'm just going on because
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
okay.
interesting. You know, हर entrepreneur की life में, I am terming you as an entrepreneur from the right reasons. 2 चीज़ें काम करती हैं जो मैंने, out of my conversations of hundreds of people that I've spoken with. One is they keep saying, and आपने भी validate किया in your last answer, that gut feel होती है, उसको follow करना चाहिए.
बिल्कुल.
राइट. दूसरी चीज़ होती है जिसको हम entrepreneur founders vision बोलते हैं, and to some extent it aligns with this concept of law of attraction, that whatever you are able to visualize you'll be able to achieve. Right?
Absolutely.
Give me an instance from your life where you took a decision from gut and it worked out for you, whereas if you went by the facts you would have not done it. And another incident where you feel कि when I look back, मैंने उस टाइम विजुलाइज किया जब मुझे लॉजिकली चीज़ें लगती भी नहीं थी, एंड टुडे आई एम एबल टू सी दोज ड्रीम्स कम ट्रू.
I think I'm a standing example of it.
Gut feel का
Gut
कोई
feel,
example.
I'll tell you. I started my practice in early 90s as a pediatrician. I'm a pediatrician by profession. Worked. My husband joined me. We kept on working, both of us. He's an orthopedic surgeon and heading orthopedics in all the 28 hospitals of Amandeep Ujala now. So around 2004-5, we both were growing and we were running a small nursing home. So we started fighting for beds and all that. Then one day we were both sitting. I said, one of us has to quit. If we really want to move further, otherwise this is the end. Another 6 months passed. One day I suddenly told my husband I quit. He said, why? I have a gut feeling I can do the management. I said, it's your choice. So I quit my active pediatric practice, which I was really settled in for the past 15 years. Worked for a year in the hospital management. Nothing came to my mind. Started studying. Did my small diploma, 1.5 year diploma from IGNOU in healthcare. Went for exams with small kids at the age of 45. So qualified, started working, went into education, and today I'm an entrepreneur.
Fantastic.
With few hospitals and working into postgraduate education and all that. So that is the gut feeling which I never visualized that I could do it.
And you are well settled in your practice.
And I'm well settled and I'm in front of you.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think that's a very, very inspirational story, Dr. Amandeep. And not only from the perspective of being a doctor turned entrepreneur, but to turn the vision of from a nursing home today running chain of hospitals, having impactful partnerships, and creating an impact not just for your city but for many cities around. Thank you so much for having a conversation, ma'am.
Thanks, Rajat.